But we start with our Newsmaker segment and welcome the newest member of the Kansas City Star's editorial board. Michael Ryan grew up in Kansas City, left town to pursue his journalism career, and has now returned home to write for the Star. Ryan's columns have already attracted much attention. Unlike the other local Star columnists, he writes from a center-right or conservative point of view, a view that is welcomed by many. Michael Ryan, welcome to Ruckus. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Mike. It's a pleasure.
You wrote that when you first came back home to Kansas City, you saw a lot of things that were very familiar and welcoming, but you saw other things that were somewhat troubling. What were they?
Well, principally the crime rate and the violent crime rate. I was surprised about my hometown having such a problem with that. And I think it's going to take, and I've been writing about this for years in other locations, I think it's going to take a real comprehensive approach to attack that and to get the violent crime rate down. I think there's an effort coming up, and I've wrote an editorial about that. It's called KC Common Good, and they're going to be rolling out after the first of the year with a very comprehensive approach to fighting crime, which is not just law enforcement, as you know. It's all about family, morality, education, poverty, hope, health care, all kinds of things.
Let's talk about a couple of local stories. You've arrived back at the beginning of a new mayoral administration. What are your thoughts about Quinton Lucas? Do you think he'll be a strong mayor?
Well, I don't have to be objective. I'm on the opinion desk.
Right.
I find him extremely impressive. I've been around the block a lot, and this guy is right at the top of my list of all the politicians I've seen. If he realizes his potential and stays out of trouble like so many politicians get into, this guy has superstar written all over him. We just had a meeting with him yesterday with the editorial board. The man is just articulate as can be. He's on point, and he is brimming with confidence, even more so than during or even after the election. In the last few weeks, he's just really full of confidence and raring to go. It's a pretty exciting time.
Star also writes frequently about the Jackson County property tax situation, and uncharacteristically, I think, suggested a tax reduction.
Well, it's characteristic for me, and I don't know if we're talking about a tax reduction so much as reasonable increases, right? Yeah. When the assessment, the value...
Not the 500% increases that some people have received.
When the valuation of your property by the county goes up so high that it almost pushes you out of your home, something has to give. Now, it would have been my preference that they would have been a little bit more flexible in how quickly they raised those valuations. They're being very dogmatic, I think, about saying they've got to follow the law, But, I mean, if you have to raise it dozens or hundreds of percentages, then you haven't been following the law in the past.
And there's something wrong with the law. I know you write a column. Do you do that weekly?
Yes.
And what day is it going to be published?
No particular day, just when it comes up, which I think is a good thing to do. Because rather than sit there and say, well, I've got to have a column for tomorrow, you're really going when you've got it.
And what other chores do you have on the editorial board?
I write staff editorials, which are without bylines, and along with everybody else on the staff. So,
do you find yourself in the minority most of the time?
Oh, I wouldn't say that. I got to tell you that the editorial page editor, Colleen Nelson, has put together an incredible staff. It's the best I've ever worked with. Dave Helling is a superstar. He is probably the backbone of the staff. Melinda Henneberger is a top national columnist. And Toriana Porter has incredible sources and incredible insights into things we need to know about. So, when you come in, when you're the new guy, you do a lot of listening, and that's what I've been doing.
Well, but you're here to lend some ideological balance, I would assume.
Yeah, I certainly have my views, and I haven't been shy about piping up about
What other
them.
columnists do you like? I don't mean local ones, but national syndicated columnists. Who do you like?
Well, Cal Thomas has become a friend of mine, so Cal's right up there. I appreciate, I still miss Mike Royko. That's going way back. James Kilpatrick has never been replaced. But I really gravitate toward people who make sense to me. Thomas Sowell is a great one. I really like some of the new ones, Mark Thiessen, I think, does a great job.
Washington Post. I think. In a few seconds, if you can, and this is a difficult question to answer in a few seconds, but a quick overview of your political point of view, your
My political
philosophy.
point of view. Well,
Are you conservative? Is that the right term?
Well, you know, I'm not huge into labels, but I suppose most of my views are right of center. I happen to think that the most important thing in our country is the Constitution and the rule of law. It's really what makes our country exceptional. And I think American exceptionalism isn't really understood by a lot of people. I spoke to a few years ago to an assembly of 8th graders. The teacher told me afterward they never heard the term. So, you know, if you want to put the Constitution in a corral and put me in there and label it, that's fine. But, you know, I know that the founders aren't real fashionable these days, but to throw them out, throw out their teachings, throw out their legacy is a huge mistake. What they have bequeathed to us is incredible and exceptional.
All right. Thank you very much. It's great to meet you. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Look forward to your columns.
Appreciate it, Mike.
That is Kansas City Star editorial board member and columnist Michael Ryan. Now let's meet the panel and start a ruckus!